Eom Business Network. So much for one broadcast.
Hello there, a very beautiful day to you, and thank you for joining us. You're watching the Eom Business Network, indeed the voice of corporate Nigeria. I am Olorogo Elkanah Mowari. Today on the program, we shall be taking a look at the Nigerian economy from the viewpoint of industry operators. Also on the lineup is Let's Talk, and we shall be looking at H&Y Furniture Manufacturers Limited, one of the frontline furniture manufacturing firms in Nigeria, and Cresta Prime Residences Limited, one of the fastest growing real estate firms in Nigeria. On Spot On, we shall continue our one-on-one with a pragmatic, astute entrepreneur, certified project management expert and industry captain, Dr. Jordan Femi Fagite, who is the Group Executive Director, General Services of the Kabota Group Limited, a renowned multifaceted group of companies in Africa. And on the face-to-face, we shall continue our exclusive conversation with an embodiment of intelligence, philanthropist, real estate management expert and industry captain, Dikin Babajide John Durojai, who is the founder, group managing director and chief executive officer of Le Grande Properties Development Company Limited, a frontline diversified real estate firm in Africa, and indeed one of the 100 most distinguished CEOs in Nigeria in 2023. This is a must watch. Stay with us.
Hello there. Hello everybody. We are Le Grand Properties Development Company Limited. We're a real estate and construction company with over 20 years of construction experience that has vetted over 11 completed estates with world-class infrastructures, all resident in Nigeria. What stands us out is that we go the extra mile to deliver all our estates with impeccable excellence, quality delivery, and robust integrity. Please kindly listen to the testimonies of some of our homeowners.
Indeed, it's a place I'm happy to come home to. They manage the property very well.
We have two sections of our buildings in this estate. We have the phase 1, we have the phase 2.
This beautiful place on the mainland, we're used to seeing all these kind of things on the island, and I was like, well, I'm interested.
So this will be a good time to be looking at, real estates in Nigeria, that at least you can see evidence of their track record, what they've done.
I'd say kudos to them. They've done well, and I think they would have gained the confidence of most potential buyers.
Omoni Kolade, a young, energetic, astute information technology expert and industry captain, is the founder and chief executive officer of Sherbit Nigeria Limited.
We at Sherbit, actually, we started from the point where we actually were doing other businesses, and those businesses has to do with understanding customer perceptions in the market. And while we're doing that, we're also a period where CBN was just licensed the first mobile money group of set of licensee. And then we saw there were opportunities, because we also understand the landscape of the market and how customers are. We felt that, okay, this is an advantage to be part of people that actually could be to build the financial inclusion required for the country. And while we started looking at those opportunities, we worked with some of the licensees, and working with them actually gave us some perspective with building agency banking then, and then working also as a technology support partner, where we build some technologies to build into lifestyle. And those lifestyle, the idea behind the lifestyle then was to see how we can build solutions to lifestyles of customers and see how we can use that to attract them into financial systems. And while we're doing that, we had to see that, okay, because Nigeria has a very unique and mature market when it comes to payment. And also, some of these customers can be very expensive customers to onboard. I think we had to transit to a point where we started building products for banks. And the idea also was to create access for innovation. So we felt that if there's no access, innovation cannot strive. And the idea was to see how we're going to build those assets. And the assets was to partner with banks, and we started building payment solutions for banks. Those solutions were supposed to help scale in some areas and also help support where banks are not really looking at, or to see how we can use that product to open up new opportunities. And while we're doing that, we felt that there's a sense of we being able to go directly into the market and solve those problems, because we're also limited to what the direction or the vision of some of the banks we're working with are. So we had to channel our directions towards we going for our licenses and then building some of the products that we have today, and actually see how we're using those products to meet the needs of customers today.
Engineer Raymond Okpere, an insightful, vision-driven real estate expert, serial entrepreneur, and industry captain, is the founder, chairman, and chief executive officer of Cresta Prime Residences Limited.
We're operating under a different name. So sometime not too long ago, we bettered the idea of Cresta Prime because we wanted to go now deep into the actual real estate environment. It's still booming. You know, there are a lot of people are asking, what is sustaining it in Lagos? You know, because there's so many buildings, yet people are buying. And so something may be happening, or something is definitely happening. And so we saw some gaps in the real estate environment, and some of those gaps that we intend to close are brand. I know a lot of people have lost confidence because of so many things that have happened to them. Some people have had their fingers burnt, but we're known to keep our word. When we say we are going to do this in 18 months, we do it in 18 months. When we say we're going to do it in 2 years, we do it in 2 years. We keep our word. And so we try to build trust, integrity, because that's one of the most critical aspects of the real estate business that is currently lacking, and why so many people are holding back funds and, you know, reluctant to invest. So we are coming out with a brand that we believe will close that gap. Integrity. Then secondly, high quality. You know, it's not enough to just build a house. The house has to have quality. It has to be able to meet the needs of the investors. Actually answer questions, because somebody wants to buy a house, he has a reason why he wants to buy a house. So what we want to know is why you want to buy a house, and then we want to build a house that answers your question, and you can trust us to be able to deliver, and also deliver it and do it cost effectively. So I think I started off by saying a little bit about that. You know, we talked about integrity and trust, and we want to build beautiful homes, of course. We want to build comfortable homes, but we also want to build sustainable homes. We're building homes for the future, not just for today. And if you go to any of our projects, this one, for example, if you go there, you see the amount of money and effort we put into building the right foundation, ensuring that we are building something that will last the next 2, 3, 4 generations. So it's not just about building. So that's one of our visions. Build sustainable homes, homes that will last. We're building for the future. We're building for tomorrow, not just today, which is one of the gaps that we observed in the industry. People build for today. They build for today, make their money, and they're out of it. And then they leave the investors with the problems to deal with. And so we want to do something different.
You can feel it in the streets on a day like this. The heat, it feel like summer. I feel like summer. I feel like summer. You can feel it in the streets on a day like this. The heat, I feel like summer. She feel like summer. This feel like summer. I feel like summer. 7 billion souls that move around the sun, rolling faster, faster, not a chance to
Ishola Abiru, a stylish, highly experienced, accomplished entrepreneurial expert and industry captain, is the founder and chief executive officer of H&Y Furniture Manufacturers Limited, one of the frontline furniture manufacturing firms in Nigeria.
H&Y, formerly Home and Dew, started about 30 years ago, and it is more of a passion that evolved to become a business. Back in the day, all I had, the real origin, was my car. My car was called Moto Shop. For those who understand Yoruba, that is, my car was my shop, because in my car I had my receipts, my catalogs, my this, my everything. If I wanted to, if anyone called on me, I could get my business started and finished there and then. When I got married about 30 years ago, we needed to set up home. We had limited resources. I have an eye for beautiful things, and I was compelled to work with local artisans, what you sometimes call roadside carpenter. It was interesting and challenging, but we got there eventually. I had my catalogs and my ideas, how I wanted my space to look. And at the end of the day, I was actually pleasantly surprised, because I then realized that these men were really, really skillful and very good at what, they did. I probably underestimated what I achieved, because but when friends and family visited, they were more impressed, and they actually really liked it. And people were actually happy and willing to part with their money to have me do up their homes and spaces. And that was how the business started. Actually, we were going happily until a lot of maybe some elements of indiscipline, inconsistency started cropping up. They weren't able to deliver on time in some cases, and so I felt I needed to own my production. Luckily, my parents had a property in Ogba that was idle, and they were happy to let me make use of it. So I was able to set up a cottage workshop. I got some hand tools and made use of maybe the sawmill that was close by, and invited some contract carpenters to work in the workshop. It was fine. It was much better than I had better control, but we weren't there yet. I needed to improve my, we were getting more orders, and the hand tools were not sufficient. So I expressed my concerns to my husband, and he said to me that perhaps I should approach the Bank of Industry to, to assist me in financing, getting, bigger machines, rather than going to the sawmill, I approached the Bank of Industry and they gave me, the long list of, well, that had its own advantages. It was quite painful at that time because I looked at the list and I was like, how was I going to be able to, surmount this hurdle? And my husband again suggested to me, perhaps I should attend a business school. And I attended the Lagos Business School. And during the course of the program, I realized that the requirements were not actually to attack me, they were actually meant to support me.
Dr. Jordan Femi Fagite, a pragmatic, astute entrepreneur, certified project management expert, and industry captain, is the Group Executive Director, General Services of the Kabota Group Limited.
Most of our business areas requires we opening up new grounds, breaking new frontiers, setting up new relationships. You can imagine us setting up an independent power plant, a standalone for a community or university or an industrial hub where they are under recourse to public power grid. That means you are most likely opening up a virgin area. And of course, that place would belong to some people or might be given to you or sold to you by some people. And of course, to ensure that you operate there comfortably, to make sure that people who are in that environment also enjoy your presence there. Most of the time, we deploy roads, we deploy security services, we deploy lighting free to these communities. And where we see other things that we need to do, we also do. So our corporate social responsibility is something that goes with our operations virtually all of the time. Where roads, we find roads deplorable, we move in and we just get to know the stakeholders who own such roads, we fix it. So it's a routine thing as part of our operations. CSR is a routine thing. The road that leads into the head office street here, about some 2-3 months ago, it was deplorable. MD called me, we were driving through the road one day, he said, look, Femi, I think we need to move in materials to fill up this place. We didn't need to ask anybody. I think if every one of us in Nigeria think that way, we would have a better country. It's been a mix of exciting and rewarding responses, and it's been a mix of also very challenging situations. I'll give you 3 variants of what I just spoke about. In power generation, developers in the independent power sector in Nigeria were less than 15. The real developers were less than 15 in the whole country. And for the fact that our business model makes the customer free of having to pay 1 naira upfront, it has given us a leverage to have working customers. So it's been very encouraging. It's been very encouraging. However, the challenge in that sector is importing equipment, in importing peripherals to build all these power plants, customs, the usual thing. A few bottlenecks here and there, delays here and there while doing your EPC, but fundamentally, it's not been a bad run with the IPP sector. In logistics, I want to advise people doing logistics. Anything you want to do logistics, don't use second-hand vehicles or used vehicles. I started my logistics arm with used Sinotruck Owo Chinese tippers, and it was a very bad experiment. So anything you're doing logistics, it was a learning curve. It was a learning curve. Use brand new vehicles, proper maintenance, well-trained personnel, very critical to what you're doing. So like I said, it's been a mixture of very encouraging responses, learning curves, and a few challenges, but we are moving forward. One, we have a policy surrounding that, and that means we have a structure for staff training on a steady and regular basis, both in Nigeria and overseas.
Deacon Babajide John Durojaye is the founder, group managing director, and chief executive officer of Le Grande Properties Development Company Limited, one of the frontline diversified real estate group of companies in Africa, and indeed one of the 100 most distinguished CEOs in Nigeria in 2023.
One thing I would say is that for you not to have that, it has to start from government. Everything about house collapse surrounds government. The main cause of house collapses today is still government. So government has a lot to do about it. Number one, the prices of raw materials is increasing at alarming rates. So you are building a house for a particular people, and those people will not be able to afford it. Will you go and build a house? Nobody will be able to come into it. So why are you building the house? So this leads to a lot of things. So government is not in control of price index. They need to control. They need to intervene. We are talking about palliatives. These are areas government should create palliatives. These are areas to create palliative. Palliative is not giving people cash of this. It's to make some things easier for these people so that many of them are living in a swamp, living under the bridge, living this, living that. You want to be able to accommodate them. You want to build. But the prices of material make people to now go to compromise on a lot of things. So where they're supposed to use 6 bags of cement, they will go and use 2.5. Number one, the lifespan of that building is compromised. The people living in that building, they are at risk. Anything can happen at any point in time. That is one. Two, quality of materials. SON is not doing anything about those things. Go and check the cement we are using. We are paying 5,000 for per bag. The quality is a sham. And one thing is this, government is not even checking them. Somebody has given them and say a certificate. Is that one certificate covers all the cement they are doing? The quality control is not really there. So go and check this cement quality. Who are the people doing them? Not only cement, we have blocks, but what I'm talking about is the quality of materials being used. The sand we are using to build house, who is testing them? Most of these sand carry salt, and salt fight against iron. And you say you have iron in between, you have put salt around it. Can the house last? So nobody is checking those things. So the quality of materials. Today we are bold, it's China, this one is this one is Turkey, this one is from this place. Have you created your own standard? We don't have. So once we don't have that, the quality of what we have we continue to go down. And that is more of the collapses you'll be seeing. Because you can't guarantee reinforcement, you can't guarantee sand, you can't guarantee cement. So what is government can guarantee? Even the supervising agency, are they doing it? They are not doing it. What they will just go is to collect money. They don't bother about what you are using. And the last is the quality of professional we are turning out. It's another thing. An engineer that only knows calculations has not seen a building being constructed. So the quality of these people also matters. Go and put all these professionals that are coming out, interview them. Many of them, they don't understand anything about building. What they know is the cramming they have done in the school. They cram it and they can't apply it until you get people that can apply it. Until you encourage those bodies to really supervise the work. The Society of Engineers, what functions, what job is federal government giving them on all these collapse? They're supposed to be in charge. By the time they regulate on 1, 2, 3, they are being the approving of, they are the one approving. We will not have all these things. They will put control in place, but you put it in the hands of civil servants. Civil servants. Somebody, because his father was the former PS, they will just go and carry him where he is. They don't know the kind of quality he has. They put him in charge. And he will mess up the supervision. Everybody will report to him. If you want to report to him, the whole of Lagos report to one man.
I expect this brand to have the Spring Rock Technologies Park.
Means we need to work together.
Most of all the things we provide, we give the backup services.
We've never seen ourselves as a company that has grown and will stop learning.
As financial institution, we're not ready to back with us glows. We shine here, everybody shines. And if you look at our motto, it says groom, grow, glow.
And that's a good point to call it a wrap on today's package of the EOM Business Network. Thank you very much for spending your valued time with us. We hope it was worth your while. But just in case you missed out on any aspect of it, then you can come with us to any of our other portals, as you can see on the screen. Our sincere gratitude to you, our sponsors, for your continued interest and support. Always remember, with you at us, we are champs. Oh yes, I remain Olorogo Elkanah Moari. Please, let's do this again, same time, same channel next week. We'll see you then.